Today we have a beautiful day here. It's about 80 degrees right now. And with us today we have the 2023 Ford Escape. This is the Platinum in the all-wheel drive configuration with the EcoBoost. And this paint color is the iconic silver metallic. Now this is a mid-cycle refresh for the Escape. And we're going to take a look today and see how it compares to some of the other compact crossovers and see what details and amenities that makes this over a $40,000 sticker price. Let's take a look at that today. In the front of the 23 Escape, you can see with this redesign or refresh, we have a new hood, new headlights, and then all new grille design and just an overall more aggressive look. So like I mentioned, we have a new hood and that just comes down lower, moves that Ford logo off the hood into this new fish gill design grille. Then we have this coast to coast light bar spanning the distance between these new LED headlights, as well as down below we have LED fog lights. Now this coast to coast light bar can be found on the ST trim Elite or the ST line Elite trim, as well as this Platinum. Now this new hood light runs along this headlight real nicely, giving this front end a nice flowy design, a lot more aggressive than previous years. And down below you can find a camera up front as well as cameras under the mirrors and the rear, giving you that 360 surround view camera. Below that we have our lower grille here, and inside we have our parking sensors in the front. So you have parking sensors in the front as well as rear, and with that 360-degree camera, you have a nice safety or kind of a overall look when you're backing up or pulling forward into a spot. Since this is a mid-cycle refresh and not a complete redesign, much of the vehicle goes unchanged. So all the side styling of the side of the vehicle goes unchanged. Now let's talk about some specs and some dimensions of this vehicle. So for wheelbase, we're sitting at 106.7 inches. That is 1 inch longer than the RAV4. Length, we're at 181.2 inches, which is 1 inch longer than the front wheel drive equivalent in this Escape model. Now overall height, we're sitting at 66 inches, and up top we do have standard side rails that come on the Platinum model. Now on the side we do have paint matched caps here on this mirror, paint matched door handles, and this nice flaky metallic paint. We have some silver accents going around the windows. And speaking of the windows, the rear windows and the rear quarter panel windows, C-pillar windows, are rear privacy glass. Standard on the Platinum model, we do have a 19-inch machine face aluminum wheel that is wrapped in a 225/55/19 Bridgestone Ecopia all-season tire. Now in the front, the suspension setup is an independent McPherson style strut with gas shocks, and in the rear we have an independent suspension that has progressive rate springs and gas shocks. This all provides you with 8 inches of ground clearance. The refresh continues in the rear for this Escape, and really all this change for the 23 model are these rear LED lights. Before, this LED red strip right here stopped here, and then this clear piece extended further out to the edge of this light. So now this LED piece comes down and hooks down under, kind of gives it a more sleek, aggressive design. So other than that, we do have a paint matched rear spoiler, clear third brake light. We have our wiper back here on our heated rear glass. Ford logo Escape across the side, or across the middle of the hatch. Platinum down below indicating your trim level, and then also your all-wheel drive emblem indicating your drivetrain choice, or your all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive choice. Now we do have a camera here that works in part with your parking sensors, kind of giving you that safety sense when you are parking or pulling into a spot. What else do we have back here? We have 2 chrome exhaust tips, and like I mentioned, we do have a power liftgate, or maybe I didn't mention that, but we do have a power liftgate that is standard on the Platinum trim. Under the hood, we have a 2-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder that is standard with the all-wheel drive. This engine produces 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque, and has a combined miles per gallon of 26. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Some other trim levels and engine options have the CVT, but this one is the 8-speed automatic. Now, if you pair this engine with the Class 2 trailer package, which is a $495 option, this vehicle can tow up to 3,500 pounds. Now, this is one of 2 options for a powertrain in this Platinum trim. The optional engine is a 2.5-liter inline-4 hybrid that produces 163 horsepower and 155 pound-feet of torque. That motor does come optional with the front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive option, and that does get a 39 miles per gallon combined when it is in the front-wheel drive configuration. In the front, you can find 42.4 inches of max legroom, 40 inches of headroom, and then in the front, you can find heated seat, heated steering wheel, and a heated seat on the passenger side as well. Now this driver's seat is 10-way power adjustable with 3 settings of memory on the door there. And on the passenger side, you do have 6-way power passenger seats. Now these seats are the leather trim with the quilted design that is part of that premium tech package, which is around $1,900, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. But up front, it's pretty comfortable. It's a very upright seating position. You're sitting up high where your knees are below your waist. So I can't get super comfortable as a tall guy. Like I mentioned in previous videos, I am 6'1", legs torso proportionate. Decent legroom, but just overall, I feel like I can't find my perfect seating arrangement. So with that being said, I'm gonna rank this front seating area a 7 out of 10. In the rear seating area, we have 40.7 inches of legroom and 39.3 inches of headroom. Legroom wise, sitting all the way back in the seat, feet tucked under the seat, I do have maybe 3 to 4 inches before my knees hit this seat, where it is adjusted. This driver's seat is adjusted for someone my size. Now overall, not too bad a room. It doesn't feel very cramped back here, especially with this sunroof or this panoramic, what they call it, the Vista roof, sorry. Headroom, I do find that my head is only a couple of inches when I'm sitting perfectly upright. My head is only a couple of inches before hitting this headliner, but if I scoot my head to the right just a little bit, I probably gain 3 to 4 inches of headroom to that glass of this panoramic roof. Now these seats do recline, so like I said, sitting straight up, I do find that my head is fairly close to that headliner, but if I just recline the seat, I gain quite a few inches. Now, if you need to fit more in the rear and you don't have anybody in the rear seats, or if you want to sacrifice some of your legroom, you can slide these rear seats with 5.9 inches of adjustment forward and backwards. Now we do have quite a bit of storage in the door compartments here, kind of a soft touch for your elbow padding here on the door panel itself. We do have 2 vents in the center console for the rear passengers, 2 charging ports, 1 USB-A, 1 USB-C. And then if you fold down this center armrest, let me move over real quick so you can see this. Fold down the center armrest, nice padding here. It's fairly short, so I find my elbow to be sitting in the cup holder. I kind of have to tuck my elbow back to get to that padding area. Although it does have 2 cup holders, folding that back up. Decent room, cubby back here on the back of the seat on the passenger side. No rear sleeve on the back of the seat on the driver's side. In the rear cargo area, you can find behind that second row seat 37.5 cubic feet of capacity. Now, if you fold down that 60-40 splitting rear seat, you can get just over 65 cubic feet of storage. Now, the RAV4, the competition in this segment, does have a maximum capacity of 69.8, just beating out this Escape just by a couple of cubic feet, but not too bad overall. Now those rear seats do slide forward and backwards, so you can get more storage with those seats up. But if you really want the maximum capacity, you fold those 60-40 folding seats down, and they fold pretty much flat, and you get your maximum capacity out of this. Now in the rear, we do have a 12-volt charging port here, as well as some lighting up on the lift gate. And then down below, we do have a little donut spare tire, a little bit more storage, and with that floor down, we do have storage on each side of the cargo area. Moving on to some of the interior details, here up in the front seating area, in the middle we do have a nice leather trimmed padded center console that's nice for resting your elbow while driving. We do have 2 stitch lines here, or 2 stitching points going across these seams. Opening this up, this is a fairly basic center console. So inside is just a little fabric, kind of felt feeling insert that just slides to the bottom. There's no lighting, no charging ports or anything inside of here. So just basic, decent storage, but just smooth plastic on the inside. In front of that armrest, we do have a little bit of like a coin storage area here. Not sure if it's meant for coins since people don't use a lot of coins anymore, but just a small bit of storage. To the right of that, we do have 2 full-size cup holders, and in the middle of those 2 cup holders, they are connected by what looks like a smaller cup holder, maybe for Red Bull cans or something similar. Don't know what else you'd put in there. To the left of that, we do have our gear selector. We do have the dial gear selector with park, reverse, neutral, drive, and a button in the center for your low range. Where this gear selector is located, we do have this brush material that you can find throughout the rest of the interior, on the door panels, on this dash here in the middle. But it's kind of like a brushed metallic. It looks like maybe a wood grain, but if you look closer, it's more of like a brushed metallic feel. It is just a hard plastic, but with that brushed feel, it won't scratch as easily as, let's say, if they put piano black here. When Companies put piano black on their center console or the cup holder, and you put your keys and things, it gets scratched super easily. So with this material, it should be pretty durable. In front of the gear selector and cup holders, we have a wireless charger here that is a nice texturized rubber feeling with kind of like a little border here and kind of a mat that is removable. Let's see if I can get this out of here. A rubber mat that is removable. Put that back in, that'll make it easy for cleaning. But then to the right of the wireless charger, you have kind of a little cubby area where you can set your keys and wallet, and it kind of divides your phone charging from your storage. In front of that storage area, we have a USB-C, USB-A port, as well as a 12-volt socket. So putting my phone down there, it fits a 13 Pro Max just fine, and it's rubberized so it does not slide around while driving. Up above the charging area, we do have this gloss black surround where you have your engine start stop, your volume and power knob, as well as a couple of physical buttons, including your drive mode, your defrost max, auto start stop, as well as your camera button. Your passenger airbag warning here, 2 vents, one for the driver, one for the passenger, moves left and right, up and down, turn those on and off. We have our flasher button there. And then up above, we do have our 13.2-inch infotainment display. And as the infotainment loads, we do have our permanent HVAC controls down here. So we have our heated seats. It is all part of the touchscreen. And this is all part of Ford's Sync 4 system. So it is the latest and greatest, but I do have to be honest. On first startup, it is very slow. So if you are wanting to get in your car and if it's cold out, you want to turn your defrost on, or if it's hot out, turn your AC on right away. It does take almost 10 to 15 seconds sometimes for that display to come up after that intro kind of boot up logo there. So like I mentioned, HVAC controls down here. We have our heated steering wheel button there. Car's not on, so it's not going to turn on. We have our fan speed and our vent selectors, or what we want. I don't want this on, turn that off. We can choose just up top, or feet, or defrost, max AC, things of that nature. Up above the HVAC controls, we, like I mentioned, the Sync 4 system. We click on that, we go to our CarPlay. It works real nice, and if you click this top left area, it brings up kind of a permanent banner off to the side that you can have in tandem with your Apple CarPlay. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, very nice features. Going back home, we can go over to our settings, kind of control some different things there. We have 2 pages. Going back, I'm going to quickly go through this because there's a lot there. We have our vehicle features. Go to our drive mode. That's kind of the long way around. We do have this physical button down below that'll bring that up. And we have our normal, eco, sport, and slippery, and that changes our 12-inch gauge cluster here. Pressing that, that goes away. Press our camera button, and that brings up our 360 camera. So we can kind of scroll through our different settings here. Front camera, wide front camera, rear camera, and our 360 camera. Overall, this display is nice to have, although I do find it just a little bit distracting. Sometimes it is a very large display. To the left of that, we do have our 12-inch instrument cluster here. It is a fully digital display. Nice colors, crisp screen, and it kind of has an anti-glare coating on it, so there is no reflections or anything of that sort. On the left side of the steering wheel, we do have our controls for our adaptive cruise control system. So we press this button, and that brings up our follow distance, and we can change that 1 car, 4 cars, 3 cars, or 2. And we can set our speed. Since we're not moving, it's going to be hard to show you exactly what this is going to look like. Kind of get out of our menu area, and that brings up our information. So we have tire pressure, individual tire pressure sensors there. Kind of where our power is being distributed. Since this is all-wheel drive, this will show us where the power is mostly going, front or back. One important thing to mention is we do have a heads-up display. It is a plastic pop-up screen that is set for your heads-up display. It kind of reflects the information onto that plastic piece. So that comes on when you turn the car on. You can actually go into your settings and turn that on and off. So I just turned it off, and it should go away. And unless I go back into the settings and turn it back on, that will stay away until I turn it back off. One more important thing to mention is this does have heads-up display in this model. Since this is equipped with the premium technology package, that gets you your heads-up display, that gets you active park assist 2.0, your Bang & Olufsen sound, 10 speaker with the subwoofer sound system, as well as the leather trim seats. Like I mentioned, we do have our Bang & Olufsen sound system. This is part of that premium technology package. It is a 10 speaker system with a dedicated subwoofer. On the dash, you can find a soft touch material that is nice and squishy, and that sandwiches this kind of wood grain inlay here, kind of this faux wood grain that runs behind the screen and across the entirety of the dash. More soft touch material down here. Glove box and rest of center console is all just a textured hard plastic. So in terms of performance acceleration, as you can see, we did not get towards that 5.7 that I saw online, and that could be due in part to just road conditions and things like that. But anywhere from 5.7 to 6.7 like we rated it, whether that's a normal or sport, doesn't seem to make too much of a difference. Now in terms of braking, I have not been able to rate this 60 to 0, and I have not been able to find a definitive answer for what that is rated at for 60 to 0. So with that being said, I want to just give you my thoughts on the brakes themselves. And starting off, the main thing that I want to point out is the brakes are very grabby. And I don't know if that's because they're electronically assisted or there's kind of like a computer setting or something like that. But when you initially apply the brakes, it's super grabby and it's really harsh feeling, meaning like when you put the brakes on, it's just like jolts you forward and then you can gradually get into them. There's no like ease into it and ease out of it. There's no ease in. It's just straight grab and then it'll ease. So it's kind of hard to explain, but it just seems like kind of like how I reacted right there. It's just kind of real grabby and not very smooth. That's the biggest thing, is it's not smooth. So brakes for me have something left to be desired. But once you are in the brakes, they are not too bad. Like once you're in the brakes, they do stop the car very well. And they are pretty confidence inspiring, which is nice because with 250 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque, you are going to be going quick in some situations, and you do need some good brakes to slow you down when you are up at speed. In terms of handling, we're going to rate this a C+, and the reason being is the suspension and the way it handles is nothing special or nothing to write home about. So it's kind of just, I'm kind of neutral on it. So a C+ kind of puts it right in that middle ground. I feel like a B is kind of more positive than negative. So to kind of be neutral, I'm going to put it at a C+. There is limited body roll, which is nice going through corners, and with the transmission and the power, you can really power out of corners. So handling is really nice. So C+ for handling. In terms of ride quality, I'm going to rank this at a B. Reason why I rank it at a B is because it feels pretty solid and pretty heavy for its weight. So it's 3,500 pounds or around 3,500 pounds, but it feels very solid, very planted. So when you are up at speeds, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour on the freeway, it doesn't feel like it's very persuaded by any ruts in the road or any wind or cars passing by you. So it feels very stable and very solid when driving. Now on top of that, you also have all your driver aids. So when you are cruising kind of a long distance, you can set your adaptive cruise control, your follow distance, as well as your lane keep assist. Now on Ford's website, it says it does not steer for you. I do not agree with that, because when you do set the lane keep assist, when it can track your lane lines, it does steer for you. I guess it suggests your turning ability or like where you should be turning, but in all reality, it is turning for you. Just a little tidbit on that. But with all the driver aids, the suspension, the lack of road noise, and just how solid it feels, I'm going to rate this at a B, which is a fairly good rating. Cabin noise is going to be ranked at a B-, which is not bad for this class. Has fairly thin tires on it, so I suspect a little bit of road noise here and there, but I mostly notice it at lower speeds. Once you are up at highway speeds, I don't notice much of road noise at all. So I'm going to rank this up there at a B-. In terms of fuel economy, I'm going to rank this at a B. Now, fuel economy can be a tricky one to talk about because vehicles in this segment do have hybrid options, or most of them do. And especially the two vehicles that I've been comparing this to throughout the review, which is the RAV4 and the CR-V, as well as this Escape, all have hybrid options. But with the hybrids put aside and just focusing on the non-hybrids, this does get the worst fuel economy out of those two other vehicles, or out of these three vehicles that I've been ranking them against. So the CR-V and the RAV4, this gets the worst at 26 miles per gallon combined. The RAV4 gets around 28, 29 miles per gallon combined, and that CR-V is at 29. So this being the worst, it's still not bad comparative when you're looking at power, drivetrain, so all-wheel drive, 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. So with all things considered, this gets decent gas mileage for what you're getting. That's why I put it at a B. So it is kind of a tricky one to rank, especially with the hybrids being an option in this class. But with all that being said, a B is a fair rating in my opinion for this Escape Platinum. Overall, this vehicle is enjoyable to drive. I like it. I don't know personally if I would spend $41,000 or $42,000 on this just for my personal reasons. But if you are looking in this class, it does have decent room, it has nice amenities, and nice power, nice miles per gallon. So overall, it's a good vehicle. Let me know who you guys think this is for, what you guys think of this vehicle, and do you think this is worth $42,000 from what you've seen in this video? Now, you do have the entry-level price of $28,000, but for what you get on the base model compared to what you get in this Platinum, is it worth that extra 15 grand or so? If you're looking to get into a Ford Escape for the 2023 model year, your cheapest entry-level base model is going to be around $28,000. I think it's $28,000 to be exact. To get into a Platinum trim like we have with us here, it is going to set you back around $37,000. Once you add options and drivetrain like we have here, we have the EcoBoost all-wheel drive, we have the tech package as well as the panoramic sunroof package, and that brings us to a total price delivered just under $42,000. And that also includes the $500 discount that Ford gives you when selecting the EcoBoost. Since the EcoBoost is $500 more than the hybrid, they give you a $500 discount. Kind of a weird way they go about it with speccing out your vehicle on their website. If you're looking for more efficiency, your cheapest hybrid option for the Escape is going to be the base model ST line, and you can option that with the 2.5 liter hybrid motor, and that's going to set you back around $33,000. So just for comparison, I'm going to pick two cars in this class that is a main competitor to this Escape, which would be the RAV4 and the CR-V. The base model entry-level price for a RAV4 is going to be $28,275, and then the base price for a CR-V is going to be $29,500. And if you are wanting to get into the hybrid, I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, I'm sorry, but if you're wanting to get into the hybrid platforms in those two vehicles, you're looking at the hybrid, which is their LE, or that's their first hybrid option, which is going to set you back $31,000, and that is for the Toyota RAV4. Now for the Honda CR-V, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, and you're going to get a two-wheel drive sport hybrid, and that's going to set you back $33,000. So right around where you'd get your first hybrid option in the Escape, so around $33,000 for the Escape and the CR-V, you're going to get your first option of selecting the hybrid powertrain. Let me know down in the comments and let me know your thoughts on this vehicle. I appreciate you guys watching, and until the next review, I will see you guys then.